It's almost like we practiced this. I love the slides he's presented because I think it segues greatly into what I'm going to share today. As introduced, Chris Morrissey, I'm the GM of the CX practice at Zoom. I've been there for 2.5 years, but I've been in the contact center business for 135 years. So I've been around it a lot. I have about 30 minutes of content and 15 minutes to present, but we're in good shape because I have 4 hours of sleep and 2 Adderall, so we will make this happen. Easy peasy. So, well, that's the intro. First thing I want to jump into, this is a concept that Zoom, and when I say Zoom, I'm not talking about the Zoom CX practice. This is Mother Zoom, as I refer to it, global Zoom. The concept of conversations to completion. We launched this at Enterprise Connect earlier this year. Now, I know what this means because I've said it 1,000 times since we launched it. A lot of other people aren't correct sure what we mean when we say conversations to completion. So kind of breaking it down, if you think about conversations, and now you talk about conversations, that's all the unstructured data we have every single day. Internal meetings, phone calls, customer calls, chats, emails. Think of all that unstructured data that happens every single day. And if I asked you like about the heritage of Zoom, what is Zoom known for? What do you, like, what's the generic reaction? Meetings, right? Meetings is where Zoom started and did a very, very good job. Now, Zoom is much more than meetings today, right? It's a blessing and a curse to be known as like a great meetings company. But when Eric started Zoom as a meetings company, his goal wasn't to create a better meetings product. His goal was we should help people communicate and collaborate better, right? That was the goal. That was his why. So if you think about everything that he's done since he started Zoom, is how do we help other people communicate and collaborate better and drive outcomes? So when people said, how did Zoom end up in the CX space, that's exactly why. It's just a natural progression of helping people communicate and engage better on different channels. So now all of a sudden the conversations is a much wider range of channels: internal, meeting, video, customers. Now, for those of us that have conversations, meetings internally every day, or with partners, or with customers, what does 90% of those meetings end up in? If you're anything like me, an action or a decision, right? I had a phone call, someone asked a question, I had to answer it. I have to get ready for a QBR. We've made a decision to go build something. All these engagements in real time usually result in something happening at the end of it. And historically, what that means, if you're like me, is you jotted something down on a sheet of paper, and then you hope you look at it later, and then you hope you get it done, and 9 times out of 10, you got at least 50% of it done, so you're moving in the right direction. But there's a lot of actions that conversations happen. So what if we took all those real-time communications, the unstructured data, and looked at structured data, CRM data, knowledge bases, rules, documents, all that, and in the moment that matters, when something happens, a conversation, a decision made, a question asked and answered, it kicks off a workflow. This is like, again, this is like Zoom, like Mother Zoom messaging, and it plays directly into our CX story, by the way. That's why I love it so much. Is this directly, if you think about a contact center, you're on a phone call or a chat, and it's virtual agent, human agent, and something's happening. And then there's an action, and that action is usually, I gotta ship something or credit something or buy something and update it and communicate with the customer. How do you automate these workflows? This is what Zoom is thinking about at a global level. So when you think about it, whether that be a meeting, you have a meeting, prepare for a QBR, build the QBR deck, get ready for the board of directors, automate all that. In the CX lens, it's different. So I level set this to just kind of set the stage that we are very much a conversation and completion company, and I think contact center is very much a natural segue and a natural progression of this meetings evolution, not where did Zoom take a hard left from meetings to contact center? No, it's not a hard left, it's a natural progression. So then the next thing I do is if that is Zoom's strategy and vision, what's happening in the CX market, and does it hold true that this theory and vision will hold up? And one is, does that concept hold up? And then 2, why Zoom, right? Those are the 2 questions I ask myself as you look at the business, is what's happening in the market, does the vision hold up, and then why Zoom? So there's 4 market trends, observations that I have as I think about strategizing what's happening in the contact center space. The first one, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, is a little trend called AI happening right now. I feel like I get paid every time I say AI, like every time I say AI, I make a nickel. It's all over the place, but when I say AI, like I'm talking about, one is I think AI has been adopted in the contact center space more than any other kind of vertical. It's experimental in a lot of places, I think. But in the contact center, the value is being realized a lot quicker. The use cases are really well defined. But it's not just virtual agents. It's, yes, virtual agents, but also how do you guide humans? How do you actually create content or augment knowledge based upon gaps between what customers are asking and your agents, virtual or human, can handle? How do you provide insights, auto QA? So there's a lot of AI that's been around, actually, contact center for a while, but it's happening at an increasing pace right now. So like, and these things, by the way, these market observations aren't necessarily like Zoom kind of centric. This is just market-centric observations we have. I hope I'm directionally correct because I'm trying to build a business around these trends. The second thing we see is a convergence, and I saw another slide that Finbar was sharing that I loved, is there is absolutely a convergence of adjacent markets happening, right? You have the CCaaS, UC, CRMs, ticketing, hyperscalers, you could argue in there. Like these things are coming closer and closer together. And what's making it happen even faster is AI in the middle. Again, AI is a big player of this. The convergence was happening anyway. I think AI is accelerating this convergence. Now, if I was gonna like look at this and oversimplify this slide, I would say it's probably more of a system of engagement versus a system of record convergence, right? Like UC, CC, ticketing, CRMs, like oversimplify that. They're converging. There's battlegrounds, there's cooperation, we work with CRMs, and then all of a sudden a CRM becomes a CCaaS vendor overnight somehow. But we see these things happening. The way I explain this, like around, and by the way, we'll always integrate, you absolutely need that record, system of records, extremely important, right? The ticketing, extremely important. And the way I oversimplify this, if I think about it, is if you went to any company and said, okay, you have two things to do. One is look at all their CRM data for the past 6 months. You can look at field changes, data changes, notes, everything you want. And then you can go and listen to every single conversation that company's had internally, meetings, boardroom, strategy, every single customer call, every single customer chat. Which one of those do you think you would learn more about what that company is doing and what it needs to do going forward to take action, right? Now, I have a biased answer to that question, but I don't think it's an either or, but I think engagement is a very important process because engagement crosses multiple CRMs and ticketing platforms. And I've heard the argument, if you live in the CRM, no more integrations, everything happens on a single platform. And one of the slides I saw from Finbar, how many agents in a contact center operate on one platform? Right? It doesn't exist. Right? I mean, I'd like to find one, actually. Their biggest problem is I have to operate across 3, 6, 9 platforms. So if your stated value prop is the value of a CRM, is that you have to integrate anything anymore because I live in one platform, you're missing the mark on what's really happening in the contact center, in my opinion. So, second observation is the evolution of, or this is the third one rather, right? AI, the convergence. Contact centers used to be around containment, solving a problem, deflection. It was a cost center. And it was really around, like, it wasn't really about the workflows. It was really trying to solve the engagement, the customer engagement itself, which, by the way, is, you should be. There's, like, having that interaction with a customer and solving it, extremely important. But where it's going in the future is it's not just having that containment, but it's about the workflows that happen after every engagement, which sounds a lot like conversation to completion. If you think of every engagement that an agent has with a customer, there is something else that needs to happen in a CRM system, or maybe I need to go trigger a note in a CRM, disposition the call, update my shipping system, ship something, send an SMS to the customer once it's shipped, confirming the shipping information, and then getting it back. So it's much more about the entire journey and interoperability than it is just the engagement itself. So this is the other trend we're seeing happen. The other thing I talked earlier about, if you look down at the bottom, this requires integrations. Like Zoom, I think most vendors today are very biased towards their product, but I would say more than biased, we care about solving problems, which means in our DNA, we have to be interoperable with every platform out there, right? Like a customer can't upgrade 7 systems wholesale at once to solve a problem. And this is exactly where, by the way, partners come in. Like these problems are I think I agree with saying, I'm not sure it's a technology problem as much as it's how do you connect these dots and workflows and automate it, and with AI, complete these workflows and MCP servers and all these things that are changing so fast. We can help customers realize it with the right product and with the right partner, helping customers go through this process. So this is another one that I'm a huge fan of. I think this is the 4th. I have 4.5 observations. This is number 4. Historically, I think contact centers have been viewed as a vertical department, right? Everything starts and stops in the contact center. Let's contain calls as much there as possible. And the way I phrase this is if you ever went to Eric Ewan, our CEO, and said, hey, Eric, who's accountable for making sure your customers are happy, your partners are happy? He would never, in his wildest dreams, say, oh, great question, Chris. It's the contact center, right? Call them. They'll figure it out. His answer is everyone. And I would argue most brands' answer is everyone should be accountable to it. So what we see is this concept of contact center being the holy grail of where every customer engagement happens and the only place you take care of questions and problems, to what I say CX is becoming a horizontal strategy, which is great for those of us who've been in the CX business for a long time, because it's elevating the value of CX in a market where for a long time it was viewed as a cost center. It's more strategic now. Conversations are different. Different levels of the organization care. In many ways, because switching costs these days for different brands is so easy, it's so easy as consumers, I think, to switch brands, that the customer experience is really the battleground more than the product or service you offer. Like, as humans, we're very emotional creatures. So I remember more, did I have a good service or bad service, and did I love the food or not love the food, right? The service is what I remember more. So I think that's becoming the battleground. The other thing was saying it's becoming more of a horizontal strategy. It's like you should have engagements. It's not just horizontal in terms of where, but like storefronts, your department stores, your phone. It should be meetings. It should be video. Banking offices. All those places are places your customers engage. Websites. They're engaging you in more places, not just the contact center. And then think of all those insights that you have there. Why, like, it's so, historically it's been locked in the contact center, but I would argue, especially with AI and insights and automation, I say insights is greater than dashboards. Dashboards is better than reporting. All are important to contact center. But if you think about insights, it should be at the center of every decision your product team is making, your marketing team is making, your sales team. And the number of insights you have in that contact center is gold. So leverage this data and go into these department leaders and say, how did you get the voice of the customer in a decision you make today in your department? Ask those questions, and all of a sudden, the importance of CX has elevated very, very high. This is my 0.5 observation, because this might be Chris being petty, but that's okay. The concept of AI first. If I just made the comment like, vendor A is an AI first automation orchestration company, who did I describe from what you know in the market? Anyone? This is the interaction part of the meeting. Everybody, nobody, all of them, right? All kinds of sound the same, right? AI first is like just, it doesn't mean anything other than I think a vendor is, now, I'm not the CMO of Zoom, so they probably would not like me saying this. I'm talking about the CX business, right? But AI first, I think, is a vendor being very, very excited to share with you that they use AI, right? And who doesn't? My vacuum cleaner uses AI. My sauna uses AI. My lights uses AI. Everything uses AI. But AI first doesn't mean anything. What I think, and by the way, if it's not, it wasn't what AI first, you know where they were 2 years ago? Cloud native. Before that, analytics driven. You know, same vendor, right? Just different ways of saying technology that's first. But putting technology first doesn't really describe what you're in business for. So when I talk about my business at Zoom, I'm like, we're a CX-first business that happens to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on AI, because that's what's driving outcomes right now. But AI might change, like cloud changes, like analytics first changes, like insights changes. But what won't change for us is we do it all to make sure that we help brands deliver better experiences, and that's predominantly through conversation to completion. That's my wrap up. I'm blinking. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.